All right. Thank you, George. Yeah. Love you guys too. We love Pisgah Brewing Company. And of course, we love Marcus King. And, want to thank Pisgah for hosting such an incredible event this weekend. And thank all y'all for being here. My name is Josh Blake. I'm a musician and producer and engineer. Been living here in Asheville for 20 years. And also helped start Independent Arts and Music of Asheville, one of the founders of a web channel that seeks to preserve and promote the vibrant music scene we have here. And today I'm putting on my AMP hat and representing Asheville Music Professionals, which if you guys don't know about Asheville Music Professionals yet, it's a nonprofit we started about 2.5 years ago here in Asheville to help the music community here reach its highest potential. And we do that in 3 different ways. The first way is by connection and collaboration. So we hold monthly socials where you can go connect with other people in the music industry in our area. And the second way we do that is through advocacy. So we work on advocacy things with the city and local governments to try to make sure that they know what's going on with the music community here. And the third way that AMP is seeking to help out our community is by putting on educational workshops. And that's what we're here for today. And we are very blessed to have this panel here with us today to do a workshop, a panel on music and management. And so thank you guys for being here.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And I'll let you guys know who we got today. We got Braden Roundtree here, who's with William Morris Endeavor. And William Morris Endeavor, in case you guys don't know, it's one of the longest running talent agencies, or maybe the longest running talent agency in the country, founded in 1898. And you are representing Marcus King, right?
I am one of Marcus's agents at William Morris with Mr. C.J. Strock here.
Right, along with CJ. CJ Strock over there. He's worked with the Allman Brothers and J-Mo's Jazz Band. He's working with also with William Morris Endeavor. And then Steph Scamato here. Steph is the founder of Hardhead Management and Evil Teen Records. And her roster has people like Government Mule, Warren Haynes, Soul Live, The Revivalists, of course, the Marcus King Band. And she also hosts her own Sirius XM show, Jam On, with Steph Scamardo, and co-partners the acclaimed Mountain Jam, which is in its 11th year and has produced plenty of events. And welcome, guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, we're talking to musicians today about artist management so we can give them some insight into what that is. And there's a lot of things that, we go see concerts, we go see people rocking out, or we put on our favorite record, and we're hearing the music, but we don't always know all of the elements that are happening behind the scenes. So maybe you guys can help our audience today get a little bit of insight into what music management is like. So maybe, CJ, you could explain to us, and we can kind of run down the road, what a typical day is like for you as a music manager, or maybe a week, or what it looks like for you to do your job.
So I'm an agent. So what we do is procure live engagements for our clients. So it's basically anytime they hit the stage, we negotiate all the particulars of the contract. So the day is pretty much following up on all those different things and selling. That's what we do. As agents, we sell.
Yeah, the kind of the difference between what CJ and I do as talent agents and what Steph does is we just handle the live performance side of, let's say, Marcus's career, whereas Steph handles all sides. And so we collaborate with her on Marcus's live touring career, but then she manages everything else. I'll let her weigh in on that.
Yeah, and management is a full-on engagement with the artist. I think that managers are the center that deals with the team. So one of the things that you do when you discover, say, a new client and you want to sign them, you need to start building that team along with that artist's business. So methodically, usually we would look for an attorney. We would look for, and then, we would work on, say, the management agreement. We'd look for an agent so that we could start working on the road and booking gigs. Once you kind of got that off the ground, you would probably then start looking for a record company. And then once you got a record deal, you'd probably then at that point, you've been touring, you'd need a business manager. So you would go and hire a business manager and have the team that kind of surrounds the artist to be able to advise them on all the different things that are going to come up, such as, early on in the career, starting your LLC, looking to protect all your tax and your interest, trademarking your name and for your merchandising. Most managers would sit down with the client initially and continue this conversation throughout their relationship and talk about their strategy, their goals, both short term and long term. Every artist and manager should have an understanding of what their 1 year goal is, their 2 year goal, up to about, I think 5 years. And I think that, when you have a feeling that you don't know what that 5th year looks like, well, you should sit down with your artist and figure it out, and what the priorities are. It's in a way, if all things click right, it can be very methodical. But as we know, there's a lot of elements that go into an artist's career from its conception. So I think the manager's the center. You're dealing with that team. You're looking at development, trying to get records out there, trying to get the music out there, trying to sell tickets, trying to sell that music, trying to monetize the music at the same time, trying to brand the artist and present them in the way that they want to be seen and heard.
And what is that? What does it kind of look like, the 1 year plan when you first start out with an artist, and then where you want to see them in 5 years, and how do you guys kind of define and build that process?
For me, it depends on the stage in which you come into that artist's career. With a brand new artist who's got a lot of talent but hasn't yet been developed, I think the goal would be to start building the team, but really more of a development. Now your digital, your socials, all that play a big part of that. So, at my management company, we have a department that's just dedicated to that, in developing the artists both online and on the road. I think that's a big component of that initial first year, especially for a new artist.
Awesome. So, kind of the internet era and the way things have changed over the course of the last 20 years for musicians, there's a real do-it-yourself kind of method to getting yourself out there, because bands can spread themselves, and a lot of times a band will be, when they first start out, they're their own booking agent, they're their own publicist, and they're their own manager, and then they're going and playing shows too. So when you guys find young artists or meet them, how do you know that how can you tell an artist that they're ready for the next step when they're starting ready to find a manager and find a team that will work for them?
It's interesting. I think for the agents, they can speak for them, but I think an agent would look at it as, where they're at on the road,
Like numbers?
Yeah, like numbers. And I think there's a big thing about knowing where an artist is from, and, development in their hometown region is like a huge thing. So I really think that that's like an initial building block, that if an artist is starting to get, if there's a buzz, if there's a vibe, if there's numbers, if there's whatever coming out of a region, that's to me a telltale sign, because an artist can't always get themselves across the country, but they are where they are. And if they can make it happen there, then that's a pretty good sign.
Yeah.
I think for me, just in my particular scenario, and I work over multiple genres of music, and I've never worked with an established artist. Every act that I've signed has been very brand new, not doing a whole lot of shows. So for me, it's like, does the music move me?
Starts with the music.
It starts and ends with the music. You know, you can formulate the most perfect methodical plan for breaking an artist, and everybody in your circle, and I'm based out of Nashville, Tennessee, so everybody in Nashville could think it's the most amazing thing, and as soon as you press go on it and it gets out of your circle and it goes out to the general public, you don't have a lot of control over it. You know, you try to create a foundation and come up with a good plan, but for me, it kind of starts and ends with, is the talent there? Is there creativity there? Are they willing to work hard? As you said, a brand new artist has to be everything.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be the hardest working team member. You know, I want the artist to be the hardest working team member.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those of you that are just joining us, we're doing a panel on music management, and it's a Asheville Music Professionals event. And if you guys have any questions for our panelists, we're going to open that up in a little bit too. And if folks at home watching the live stream, you can type in your comments and ask us some questions too. And you just kind of touched on what the next question I had was. Do you have something to say? No? Yeah, the next question I had was, when you find an artist and you know, you begin to work with them, I'm sure you guys with all your experience, there's been artists that you've decided to work with and then they do some stuff that just pisses you off, and it makes it really difficult for you to work with them. So like, we're reaching out right now for young musicians to teach them things that they can do when they get into a management situation to not ruin it, and the things that they can do, like you said, work harder to make it so that you wake up every day wanting to work for them.
I haven't reached that level yet, but these guys
Yeah.
probably have.
Well, you know what? Let's start back to what Braden was saying. For me, it's really all about the music and the attitude to start, I think. My core education is in music performance, and I really dig music. I mean, that's that's why I'm here right now. This is not a 9-to-5 career by any means. If you're going to put your time into a project and years of development, then you really need to dig the music, and the second part is the attitude. So in terms of back to your question, I mean, anybody who has a good attitude, can't wait to hear the music, you know?
Well, and from a management perspective, management is, it's a really hard gig. There's a lot to it. Like, I feel like your job can never be done. It's like, how could you ever promote, market, find every deal, for every artist? It's like an endless project that you're always trying to work on, and in a way it's great. In a way it's like, it's never done, because it's ongoing. But, my company is a boutique management company. We don't sign a ton of bands. Like, we handpick the bands we sign, I have to love it, love the people, like, enough to take a bullet for it, like, it has to be, for all those blood, sweat, and tears, you have to really care about those people, and you hope that when you do it, that it's a reciprocal relationship, because it's definitely an intense one, in terms of, both of your careers, and you're working really hard, and but yeah, I think the music and the people it's all about that, for sure. Yeah. And what you do when they piss you off, what are those things? I don't know. There's a lot of things probably, but I don't know.
I mean, like not answering emails or
Yeah.
not picking up their phone when you need to talk.
Well,
It's
that's-
like a marriage. I mean, it's like a marriage.
Yeah,
You can't
it
just
is.
like divorce your wife
Yeah.
because she pissed you off once. I mean,
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, you can,
It's-
but it's not
Yeah.
proper.
I mean, I'm sure in the best of artist manager relationships, you could ask each the question, and I'm sure they could both come up with things that are annoying about the other. You know what I mean? Just,
Yeah.
just like a marriage or a relationship of any sort,
I mean, that kind of touches on what I wanted to ask next, which is, you guys have probably ran into some people in your field who didn't serve their artists well. So, like, if there's a young artist out there that's seeking management and looking for a manager, what are some of the red flags that they might look for people that they might not be able to trust fully, or Is that something that kind of happens in your field where you see managers burning bands, and how can they be cautious as they're entering into that relationship?
You know, I guess word of mouth. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think that there's a lot of qualified managers. I do think there is a little bit of, because of technology, that you can just say, "Oh, I'm a manager," and like not have the experience. So maybe just vetting someone's experience and you know could be worthy. Just to make sure that they've done it before and that they've maybe had some success or something. But once again, it'll come down to that relationship between the two. The artist and the manager.
I think, and I do see this happen pretty periodically in Nashville. You've got a lot of artists that are coming into town, and there are a lot of people, in town that have had some success throughout their career in the industry as a manager or a publisher or a record label executive, agent, what have you. And they're not kind of at that level anymore, so they're trying to figure out ways to generate cash inflow, what have you. And for a brand new act, if I'm talking to them and they say, yeah, we've been having a meeting with so and they want us to pay them money up front and they want us to sign this crazy contract, and it's just like, everybody I do business with, from managers to publishers to attorneys, they're going to want to pay you, or they're going to want to, go bend over backwards to work with you. That doesn't include necessarily like you paying them or you signing a contract right away. Yeah. Those would be kind of the two.
Well, definitely
flags.
before you sign anything, I would have an attorney review it. And that's one of the things that as a manager, when you find a new band, that you help the band do is go out and find an attorney so you can even do a management a contract. You know what I mean? Like you can, because they need proper representation, someone who knows the industry, knows what the current kind of rates are and how things, kind of work typically. So yeah, definitely when it comes down to actually signing something, I would definitely, every artist should have some representation. Yeah,
Somebody look at it on their behalf.
Yeah.
Right, and also I think communication is key to proper representation too. So if you're an artist and you're calling your manager an agent and they're not calling you back, that's not a good sign. First and foremost as well.
Yeah. Right on. Well, you guys have worked with a lot of successful bands throughout the years. And so, curious, with your insight, what are some of the qualities of a band and maybe even a band management team that can give them longevity as an artist?
Well, I think that's something that my company specializes in, which is artist development. We feel like building a base for your band and being able to feed that base and grow that base is a great way to build your organization, which is why, for instance, when we signed Marcus, he was, young. This was a few years ago, and they hadn't been touring, across the country yet. They were still a regional band, and we had a record deal, and we had, because people in the industry that saw him loved him, and we spent a year on the road. We re-released his self-released album and spent a year on the road just going out there and meeting people and meeting the radio stations and playing the bars and creating fans in the marketplace. And, I think that's something that, all bands, unless you're a straight up pop band who, they put a lot of money into a single and the single goes #1 and you can debut at the Jingle Ball and then play Madison Square Garden after that. It's very few bands that can do that. It's for most acts, you want to develop it and garner a fan base, work radio, build fans at radio, have a good publicist, get the critical acclaim, have that press reach even more people. It's about growing. It's about growing.
It's like
Development.
watering the garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly, the handful of most successful acts that I've signed, meaning ones that are out there touring and generating significant cash inflow, I signed all of them sight unseen. They had something going on, or I heard the music and it just kind of blew my mind, and I knew where it was going. I mean, Marcus King is a great example. A buddy of mine that I'd kept up with through the years called me and said,
You got to see this.
this guy's playing the bar scene in Myrtle Beach and he's amazing. Can I send you some music? And I was like, yeah, send me music. It was like a living room recording. And I called my buddy. I was like, well, which one's Marcus, the guy that's singing or the guy that's playing the guitar? He said, he's the same guy. I was like, well, how old is he? Was he like 40 or 50? He's like, no, he's 17. I was like, I'm in. You hear that.
Yeah.
And the handful of acts that I feel have real longevity, that's just the talent that they have. And you don't have to. I booked 60 shows on Marcus before I saw him live. It was just like, you just know it when you know it, I guess.
Yeah, and also, we feel that the team up here, just talking about Marcus, that it's important to create equity events like the Marcus King Band Family Reunion here.
That's right.
That we're all a part of tonight. To bring it on home, and create something that we're going to be here for a long time.
That's a beautiful thing for sure. Steph, you said something for a second about pop artists and a single. And I'm wondering from sort of a managerial perspective and also as agents in the era of the single versus the record, how you guys approach when you talk to your artists about how to put music out. Like, what's the strategy when you're trying to kind of push them, and how does that roll out?
Well, I think every artist is different, first of all, and I think the different genres are moving faster in the digital single release only type stuff than others. I think that in the end, the industry still wants to monetize an album. It's hard, you sell 1 million singles, that's a small fraction of $1 million. That's got to go a long way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's from a financial standpoint, I think, labels are still trying to sell records. Obviously, there's genres like electronic music and hip hop, and pop that where, they're getting tons of traction on the singles. But what the manager and the label's job is to filter that energy and excitement that's coming in over that single. Like, if Justin Timberlake has a Trolls hit, from the Trolls movie, is to continue to build that into Justin Timberlake's brand and into, the kind of continuance of Justin Timberlake's career, as opposed to letting it just be a high moment to, continue to build on it, but yeah, I mean, I think ultimately the album cycle thing may go away. I mean, it's kind of happening.
Yeah.
But in the end, a lot of the artists I work with still want to make albums, though. Like, they still want to create a body of work that means something on different levels. If it's a concept or an artistic vision or whatever it is, it's like they're still with that. Doesn't mean you can't release a single, build up to an album, or do it as an EP or whatever it is. But I think artists have a vision of work, a body of work, and if it's 2 songs, 4 songs, 8 songs, but those visions are going to continue to change, I think, for sure.
And now in the digital age where there's streaming and like you said, people still want to sell records. And you said the industry wants to sell records, but the people are streaming.
Yeah.
Like, when, as managers, do you feel like do you spend time weighing out the balance between we should put this out as a free, thing versus this is something that people should have to pay for, and then use that in kind of how are you leveraging the modern technological market to help your artists push themselves further?
It's interesting. If records didn't cost anything to make, I think it'd be a lot easier to give them away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, a multi-person rock band trying to make a record, it's going to cost money. And I think there's money to be made now that streaming's monetized. It's just not, it's a fraction of maybe what it used to be.
Yeah.
But I also think the touring money's way bigger than it used to be. Publishing's worth more than it used to be. There's tons of endorsement opportunities. So I think it'll be made up in other ways,
Yeah.
whatever that difference ends up being, because there's a difference now. I mean,
Yeah.
Having huge Spotify numbers is not like selling that many records by any means.
But people will be coming to your shows.
That's right. But it's selling your merch,
Buying the merch,
and your
yeah.
shows and whatnot. Exactly.
I coming from the touring standpoint, and I think even Steph would agree that a significant chunk of an artist's income comes from live touring, anywhere from 85 to 95% or better comes from making money on the road, merch sales, ticket sales, you name it. And a lot of my friends work in publishing and are songwriters, but I like free music because it helps me give a bigger platform to selling these acts. The more streams you have, the more content that's out there that people don't have any barriers to listen to helps me accomplish that goal of getting that act on the road, which will in turn generate anywhere between 85 and 95% of their overall income anyway. So I'm not saying that free music is
it's
good
it's
or
a
bad.
great tool
Yeah.
though. We use it for development. We'll figure out, we create whole marketing plans to increase social numbers, hey, get a free live 8-song selection here, sign up for Facebook and Instagram or whatever. You know what I mean? It's definitely something that you utilize. Is it the priority record that, you know what I mean? Not everyone's gotten to that place yet, but I think definitely everybody's seeing the benefits in giving away music.
It comes
in
back
some
in
way.
other- it comes back in other ways.
Yeah, definitely.
all the genres are different. I also work in the country music genre, the mainstream, and very singles driven, right?
Yeah.
But you have bands like Marcus King Band, Blackberry Smoke, Big Something that you're seeing play in this festival that the fans still want the album because it's a concept from song 1 to song 12 or 15, et cetera, and they want to ingest the whole thing, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're music fans building a collection, which is awesome.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions for our panelists today before we go check out Marcus? Okay. I'm gonna frame that question so everybody can hear it who's watching home. How do you guys? What is usually the artist's split with the manager and the management team when it comes down to? I guess he's talking about, I don't know, general financial arrangements.
Are you talking about the manager artist split? I think they range anywhere from the low percentages to bigger artists to higher percentages with newer artists, but usually within 15 to 25%.
Agency, at least all the agencies that I deal with, it's all straight 10%.
Yeah, agents operate at straight 10.
And if you've come across an agent or agency that wants more than that, then
Not good.
I would walk away.
Yeah, not good.
But if
Nix
they
that.
and if they want to offer you less than that, I would walk away.
Yeah.
It's particularly for an agency like ours that CJ and I work with. There are a lot of people putting in time and effort, and the 10% is a good deal.
Anybody else? Kendra? So Kendra's asking about if you sign a contract with the manager. Yeah, and maybe you guys can tell us what this rainbow clause is. How long should the rainbow clause last if you have, like, say, a 2-year agreement with a management company?
Well, 2 years isn't a bad deal, which is probably why they have that on the back end. And when you say rainbow, do you mean like a sunset where it starts out at the agreed upon percentage and then goes down over a certain amount of time? Yeah, that's called a sunset agreement. For most management agreements do have it. And in your particular case with 2 years, I would definitely see why they'd have it, because 2 years isn't a very long time to be able to sink your teeth in and make the money on the artist. So in their case, they'd end up doing a lot of work, and if you left, they'd end up with nothing. You know what I mean? So I don't really know what the right thing to do, but I understand why they would want it there. Maybe through, because 2 years would usually be considered an album cycle. So maybe through one more album cycle, but with a decreasing percentage on it. Yeah. And I don't know for sure, but that's like my just kind of a gut instinct on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't do contracts with my artists because I'm the best agent out there. So there's no reason anybody would want to leave me.
A lot of agents don't do contract. I've never signed an agency agreement ever with any artist, and they've all been signed to the major agencies. Like the agents, it's a pretty straightforward gig. So
100%, we have attorneys that would chase you down if we need to. But if we ain't chasing you down, then, well,
yeah,
probably wasn't meant to be.
yeah,
And like most of
Yeah.
our business, it's relationship based, which is very important.
yeah.
So we value the relationships with the team members and the artists, as opposed to strictly contractual agreements.
Awesome.
I think in a manager's case, especially with new talent, it's tough because it's such a like you guys have, like William Morris has thousands of clients. You know, a manager, say like me, only has a handful of clients. So if you if you have a staff of 6 people and you're spending a good chunk of your time working on that new artist, it could be devastating for them to leave. You know what I mean? Like if you finally gotten them to a place where they were making money, or they got to a place where they were just about to do it, could be devastating, you know? So it's a little bit of a difference in terms of that, you know, between a manager and an agent. The manager is kind of an all-consuming job where it's dealing with all aspects of the career, where they're dealing with one facet of it, and it's a very important facet, so I'm not decreasing that at all, but they're able to have a lot of clients, where I think managers who have that many clients would probably not be spending a lot of time on you know, as an artist. You know what I mean? Like, because it takes a lot, so.
Cool. Well, I can hear Marcus and them just started.
Yeah,
So we should probably wrap it up.
AKB in the house.
Yeah. So, yes, and we want to thank you guys for being here with us today, CJ and Steph and Braden. And we also have, we have to thank Marcus and whoever of you, or all of you involved in helping put this together, because he's really bringing a sense of community and family to a musical event, which is a really nice thing, by making it a reunion and kind of gathering his family here and all of his musical family in this region to do this. It's a really wonderful feeling. So thanks for helping make that happen. And
Thanks, Josh.
for having
yeah,
us.
and thanks for being a part of the Asheville Music
Thanks for having
Professionals
us.
panel. And if you guys ever want to watch this again, we'll have it archived on imavl.com. And go enjoy the music. That's what we all
Sweet.
came here for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Peace.
Yeah, well.
Thank you.